Alright, in today's video, we have SpongeBob's creepiest episode finally solved. Let's solve this mystery, guys.
SpongeBob had a unique identity, a show that can go from lighthearted and hilarious to completely off the wall, surreal in the blink of an eye. And there's one episode in particular that has been misunderstood for over a decade.
Which one?
This is Spongehenge, an episode so
Spongehenge?
ambiguously creepy that fans skip it while watching.
Deadass?
But what if Spongehenge is more than just another creepy outlier?
Yeah.
What if, buried underneath the weird visuals and unsettling tone, there's actually something deeply meaningful going on? Something
Exactly.
intentional, something beautiful even. I've rewatched this episode more times than I'd like to admit. I went through every season looking for patterns, callbacks, and context, and I finally solved the mystery of SpongeBob's weirdest episode.
Oh shit.
Not only did it change my views on the episode, it changed my vision about the legacy of SpongeBob as a character, and as a show. But before we dive into what Spongehenge actually means, first we need to break down what actually happens in the episode.
What happens?
It all starts with something
I
simple.
don't remember.
Wind. The episode opens with Bikini Bottom getting hit by an unusually strong gust.
You know what? I find this... Okay, I gotta say this, but when I used to live in Mexico, it was something soothing about the wind just hitting my window, just hearing the little... And just looking out, nobody out there, and it's all dark, and it's just the wind. It's something soothing, yet it's creepy. I don't know what it is, but it makes me feel nice, and it makes me fall asleep. I don't know, I might just be weird.
Two fish leave a diner with takeout, talking about how rough the weather is. Oh no, Neptune must be mad at something. Nah, it's Poseidon. Everyone knows he's the real ruler of the sea.
Oh shit.
It's a dumb background joke, but it's the seed. Because the wind gets worse. The wind snatches their food,
Wait.
yeets it across the city,
If it's wind in the water, isn't that just current and not wind?
and smacks SpongeBob right in the face while he's sleeping.
Oh shit.
SpongeBob wakes up, noticing that it was a goulash, and comes up to the windows hoping to find the owner. But then it happens. A gust hits him, blows through his holes, and makes this strange,
Ew.
hollow, haunting sound. This is the first sign that something's off. Longtime fans know this isn't normal SpongeBob sound design.
Really?
The show rarely, if ever, uses tones like this. It sounds similar to an ocarina, maybe even a flute. Definitely not Hawaiian ukulele background music. It's eerie. It lingers.
How
But the
does
jellyfish,
that sound?
they love it. They're vibing. They swarm to SpongeBob like he's a walking Spotify playlist. Dancing, twirling, even floating inside him like it's a jellyfish mosh pit. Even when the morning came, it only attracted more jellyfish towards SpongeBob. They block him from going anywhere. Literally trap him with good vibes.
Oh shit.
Eventually, Krabs helps him to get on Krusty Krab by dragging him with
Wait, so how is this the scariest? Isn't this the one where like they use the speakers?
the fish hook. But he doesn't
I'm
stay long.
confused.
The jellyfish return, the wind gets worse, and the Krusty Krab? Gone. Launched into the air like it owed someone money.
Oh shit.
SpongeBob crash lands at Patrick's house. Patrick, being a real friend, lets him in for about 5 seconds, until he gets stung and blames SpongeBob for being a negative influence. Okay, thanks, bro. So SpongeBob runs into a cave. Deep, remote, windless, silent. Just him and lots of rock. And here's where it gets dark. SpongeBob
Where?
doesn't just hide, he unravels.
Huh?
He starts talking to rocks, laughing to himself, growing this wild, scruffy
Oh shit, he's starting to become like me. He looks like me too.
wizard beard like he's been in there way too long. Then he builds a statue, a stone replica of himself. Not for
Wow.
decoration, just to talk to have tea with. When the wind hits the statue, it makes the same sound. The jellyfish return, they hear it, and SpongeBob gets an idea. He starts building, not one, but dozens of massive stone versions of himself placed in a circle, each one tuned to catch the wind just right. It's basically Spongehenge, now in surround sound. He's no longer trying to escape the problem, he's trying to control it, perfect it, recreate the sound, make it permanent.
That makes
And
sense
it works. The jellyfish finally stop swarming him. The music is enough. And for the first time in who knows how long, SpongeBob is free. So he returns to Bikini Bottom, expecting home.
now.
But
Yeah?
instead, nothing. Everything is gone. The world moved on without him, and he's left by himself. He gave everything,
Oh,
his time,
shit.
his sanity, his identity, to create something he thought mattered. Something perfect. But when
Wait,
he came
but
back,
how is this
there was
scary?
nothing left to come back to. Skipping forward 3,000 years, the
3,000
aliens are
years?
here, staring at the Stonehenge, trying to figure out who built them and why. And that's the end of the episode. No jokes, no payoff.
Dead
Just
ass?
an eerie wind, and maniacal laughs. That is an ambiguous ending, and pretty dark, I think.
Yeah.
This is also not a regular ending for
that don't make sense, because if that's the end, what happens to that SpongeBob? You know, what happens to everybody else? He didn't get any follow-up. Because usually what I remember is that any SpongeBob episodes would get a follow-up or like be in that same timeline. Like we would get multiple episodes with that version of SpongeBob and, you know, his friends.
SpongeBob episodes. Normally, the episode would follow a 3-act structure with resolution at the end. But this episode had no resolution whatsoever. Only that eerie laugh. Spongehenge ends with no answers and 1,000 questions. How long was SpongeBob in the cave? Why is it still windy after 3,000 years?
Exactly.
What happened to all the Bikini Bottomites?
Could they be living in
Ending gives
the
you
equator?
nothing. No punchline.
Because I know that they have a lot of
clues,
current over
just
there.
silence. And for a lot of viewers, that was the problem. Some fans hated it for the ambiguity. Others said it didn't even feel like a SpongeBob episode. From the opening scene, the tone is off. No goofy humor, no ukulele strumming in the background, just this. It's eerie, unfamiliar, and that's intentional. On the surface, this episode is just SpongeBob dealing with jellyfish trouble. But dig a little deeper, and it starts feeling like a metaphor for obsession, isolation, maybe even madness. SpongeBob doesn't solve a problem, he gets consumed by it. He spends who knows how long building stone versions of himself just to keep the music going, perfecting the way they sing in the wind. And when he finally returns home, everyone's gone. The Krusty Krab is a ruin.
What happened to
Bottom
them
is
then?
empty. All he has left are the jellyfish, still dancing to a sound that isn't even coming from him anymore. He became a monument to his own art, a ghost conducting music for no one. When Spongehenge first aired, no one knew what to make of it. Some fans called it brilliant, others thought it was creepy, dark, even depressing. A lot of people just wrote it off as random nonsense.
Yeah,
but the older you get, the harder it is to shake off. You start to ask yourself, what was this episode really trying to say? Spongehenge leaves a gap just wide enough for interpretation. Since this episode was aired, a lot of people have already constructed a lot of good theories. And by using every single one of those theories, I was finally able to solve the true meaning behind the episode. The first theory is that the whole episode is a joke about ancient monuments. The title's an obvious
That's what I was
reference to
thinking
Stonehenge,
too. Yeah,
a
that's what I was
mysterious
gonna say.
monument that's inspired centuries of speculation. Historians write books about it. Tourists take selfies in front of it. No one really knows what it means, so we project meaning onto it. Spongehenge is just that, a long joke about meaningless monuments. SpongeBob builds giant stone versions of himself. 3,000 years later, aliens find them and wonder what they meant. A gag about how we treat the unknowable is sacred. And yeah, that could be it. But if it's a joke, where's the punchline?
Wait a minute. So what if I make a penis out of rocks and I leave it there for 3,000 years? Are they gonna worship that once the aliens come or the next generation shows up? Hold on. I'm asking the right questions to the wrong answers.
The episode doesn't end with a satisfying laugh. It ends with a laugh that feels wrong. That's the first red flag. This episode starts like a joke and ends like a warning. Now, let's go one layer deeper. Some fans believe this wasn't just about jellyfish or monuments. It was about the people behind the show.
Imagine.
Spongehenge was episode 99B, the end of season 5, right before the show's tone and quality took a sharp dive. Most of the original creative team, including Steven Hillenburg, had already stepped away by then. So what if this was their last hurrah? The true ending of SpongeBob? A final, weird, beautiful, unfiltered piece of storytelling before the studio took full control. In that context, the silence makes more sense. The weird tone, the somber pacing, the lack of resolution. It's not a glitch, it's intentional. It's the sound of the creators letting go. Then again, as we all know, the shows didn't stop there. It keeps going with season 6. But what if this episode
have you guys seen the new SpongeBob? I'm pretty sure they're twerking now. I don't know what's going on with SpongeBob.
It's about SpongeBob or art. What if it was about faith? Because there's one more theory, one that feels spiritual, almost biblical. It starts with a throwaway line early in the episode. Two background fish argue. Neptune must be mad. No, it's Poseidon. Everyone knows that. They laugh and move on. But if you're paying attention, that line is the key to everything. Because if the storm isn't natural, if the wind isn't random, then someone, or something, sent it. An eternal storm, jellyfish hypnotized, a town emptied. This isn't just weather, it's judgment. or even worse, abandonment. It's damnation sent by the gods themselves for the people of Bikini Bottom, because they're forgetting who their supreme ruler is. But which gods? Technically, both Neptune and Poseidon are sea gods. Neptune's from Roman mythology, Poseidon's Greek. And the show has played with both, sort of. But since the very beginning of the show, we have never heard Poseidon's name mentioned up until this episode.
In the movie.
He was later making appearances in the movie Sponge on the Run, but that movie is so isolated from the main series and practically has no ties with Bikini Bottom.
Really?
Even there, he's not some all-powerful being. He's obsessed with skincare and bath bombs. Not worthy of a god.
The new SpongeBob makes really poor attempts every single episode of being the next big meme phase, unfortunately. That's all they focus on now. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like they don't even try to make a good episode anymore. They're just kind of like clip farming, kind of like what we do. Like we just put clips on TikTok and stuff like that.
In my opinion. Meanwhile, Neptune, as you all know, is the king of the seas, living in the royal city Atlantis. Neptune is also 5,000 years old, as we all see later.
Damn, his wife bad as hell
in the Battle of the Triton. So he's not really aging. Indeed, he also possesses a power worthy of a god, capable of making miracles simply by pointing his finger at something. So if anyone's capable of creating a storm, it's him. But there's also a problem with that theory. There is no story or lore suggesting that Neptune was mad at the people of Bikini Bottom in the slightest. Then again, if he truly wanted worship, wouldn't he just show up and demand it? Instead, the wind comes, and it never stops. Even 3,000 years later,
isn't there like
the storm
a
is still howling, long after SpongeBob, the
Greek
jellyfish, and everyone else is gone. The only reason I could think of was that this was just two gods having a quarrel with one another, just like Greek gods would do. Their fights often led to suffering for their own people. But that's kind of dragging it too far. The show doesn't even lean into Greek mythology that much. Aside from using characters like Neptune and Atlantis, they never really mentioned anything else. Which leads to one more terrifying question. If Neptune's not responsible, Poseidon doesn't care, then who or what is this? But beyond myth and beyond farewell letters, there's a much more personal reading. This could be a depiction of SpongeBob's descent into artistic obsession. The way he treats the statues, how precise he is, how he talks to them, has tea with them, it's not only tragic, it's also unsettling.
What
He's
if
not
that's
building
like
out
the
of
writers
joy,
that
he's
wrote
building
SpongeBob?
because he has to. This isn't passion, it's compulsion. And it's not the first time SpongeBob's done this. There's a blueprint for this breakdown hidden in an older episode, The Sponge Who Could Fly. In that episode, SpongeBob dreams of joining the jellyfish in the sky. He spends the whole episode trying, failing, being humiliated, until he finally succeeds. And the town? They hate him for it. They mock him, they turn on him, they only like him again when he crashes and gives up. And then comes the line, a single sentence that hits way harder in hindsight. They hated me when I was trying, but they loved me when I failed. That is also Spongehenge. And
they hated me when I was trying. They loved me when I fell. That's how it is nowadays.
An artist who dares to do something different and gets exiled for it. So he hides. And
I feel for bro. I feel for bro, man.
For applause from meaning. And when he returns, the world has moved on. That's the real horror of Spongehenge. Not the wind, not the jellyfish. But the idea that SpongeBob gave everything to his art and it didn't save him. It just replaced him. You see, after analyzing all those theories, maybe none of the theories are technically correct, but that's kind of the point. Spongehenge was a phenomenon because it didn't explain enough. It leaves just enough space for you to stare into the void and project whatever you want. Artistic madness, religious symbolism, mid-2000s existential dread, pick your poison. But if you still watch modern SpongeBob to this day, suddenly it clicks. What if these theories aren't competing ideas, but steps in a larger story? The joke that never lands, the goodbye disguised as nonsense, the godless world where no one is listening, the obsession with art. They all build toward one final idea.
What is it?
The one that ties it all together. That Spongehenge isn't trying to explain the lore behind, it's a prophecy to the future. One cryptic love letter from a land beyond the grave. The last gasp of the original team before they vanished into the corporate wind tunnel. After the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which creator Steven Hillenburg always intended to be the grand finale, most of the original crew dipped, Hillenburg included. He didn't want SpongeBob to become just another endless franchise. He wanted it to end while it still meant something.
See?
But the fans?
That's why it could have been so
we couldn't
goated.
let it go. He became a global icon, a marketing tool, a Halloween costume, a meme generator. We don't want SpongeBob to die. We kept demanding more, and so the network obliged. They kept SpongeBob alive. But was it really alive? Or was it just a replica? A hollow version of what it used to be?
It's a replica.
Sounds familiar?
Yep.
That's Spongehenge. It's not just a weird episode, it's a prophecy. A parody of what SpongeBob would become after the original
Holy shit,
creator
this
is no
opened my
longer
third
with
eye.
us. And the wind? Loud, chaotic, never-ending?
No, it don't make sense. It really is a prediction. When they said 3,000 years ago, they meant 3,000 episodes ago. Oh my god. Holy shit.
It's fame. It comes out of nowhere. It makes music, it draws a crowd, and once it starts, you can't make it stop. It turns you into something else, something people want you to be. Suddenly, SpongeBob isn't SpongeBob anymore, he's a mascot.
God.
His friends turn on him, not because they hate him, because they don't recognize him. So he runs,
Shit.
he hides, and alone in a cave, he sculpts. Not to be loved, just to be remembered. Like an artist pouring everything into a final piece no one asked for. A long and painful process to make a legacy worth being remembered. And the statues? They're not tributes, they're warnings to us, the fans, that one day you'll be cheering for something bigger, louder, and not the real ones. The statues don't complain, they don't change, they just stand there and look like SpongeBob.
That's
just
kind of
like
what.
100 episodes. More episodes came, more SpongeBob's, but they weren't him. They were replicas, polished, heartless, made from stone. No feelings, no weirdness, just content. And in that final shot, SpongeBob stands in front of it all, a man out of time, replaced by statues, performing to a crowd that isn't listening. And maybe this episode is saying, one day, far into the future, there will still be a SpongeBob. But it won't feel like SpongeBob. It will be something that tries to look like him, tries to sound like him, but the soul is gone. And some future kid will look at the screen and ask, what is this? What is this supposed to be? How did it even get here in the first place? But hey, at least the stone was entertaining to the aliens. So maybe Spongehenge wasn't nonsense after all. Maybe it was the original team's final message, a whisper buried in the wind, a warning about fame, a goodbye to the fans, and a time capsule for what the show used to be before it got lost in its own echo.
Yeah, let me know what you guys think about that, man. Let me know what you guys thought about SpongeBob, how you guys felt about this, and the goodbye to the OG series, man. Also, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe, and yeah, that's about it, guys. See you guys in the next video.